All right, let's talk about one of the trickiest, but also one of the most rewarding parts of sounding natural in Spanish. We're going to tackle how to use the subjunctive when you're talking about your feelings. Getting this right is a total game changer for really expressing yourself. So, to get us started, I want to show you a sentence. I guarantee that almost every single intermediate learner has said this exact sentence at some point, but there's something about it that just sounds a little off to a native speaker. Can you spot it? And here it is. Me alegra que estás aquí. Now, logically, this makes perfect sense, right? I'm happy that you are here. You are here, so you use estás. But this is one of those classic moments in Spanish where straight-up logic takes a backseat to feeling. This isn't quite how it's done. And that little off feeling brings us to the absolute heart of this whole topic. The key to unlocking the subjunctive with emotions is all about understanding one simple difference: the difference between an objective fact and your subjective feeling about that fact. Okay, check this out, because this is where it all clicks. On the left, we've got a simple, undeniable fact. Ella está aquí. She is here, period. That's reality, so we use the indicative. But then, look to the right. The second we add our emotion, me alegra que, that fact gets filtered through our feelings, and bam, the verb has to change. It shifts from está to esté. So here's the bottom line. When you're just stating a fact, you're in the world of the indicative. But when you state your reaction to that fact, you're just stepped into the subjective world. And in Spanish, that world is ruled by the subjunctive. You're not just a reporter anymore, you're a commentator. Now, I know that might sound a little abstract, but the really good news is there's a super reliable formula for this. Seriously, once you see this pattern, you can build these sentences correctly every single time. It's like a little recipe for expressing your feelings. It's just 3 simple parts. First, you have what we'll call an emotion trigger, a phrase that says how you feel. Second, you need the connector que, which just means that. And third, and this is the crucial part, the verb that comes right after que has to be in the subjunctive. Trigger, que, subjunctive. That's the magic formula. And look at this. This is our formula in action, fixing that very first sentence we looked at. Me alegra is our emotional trigger. Que is our connector. And estés is the correct subjunctive form. Me alegra que estés. Perfect. See how that works? Okay, now that we have the formula, it's time to stock up your toolbox. There are a bunch of specific phrases that pretty much always act as these emotion triggers. If you can learn to recognize them, you'll know exactly when to flip that subjunctive switch. Let's start with the happy stuff, right? Anytime you start a sentence with phrases like me alegro de que, me encanta que, or estoy contento de que, a little alarm bell should go off in your head. Ding, 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 subjunctive coming right up. And the exact same rule applies when you're expressing sadness or sympathy. When you say something like siento que to mean I'm sorry that, or you use phrases like me da pena que or que lástima que, you are signaling an emotional reaction, and that means you're triggering the subjunctive. And you can bet it works for negative feelings too, like when you're annoyed or angry. Me molesta que, it bothers me that. No soporto que, I can't stand that. I mean, these are powerful emotional statements. They basically demand that the subjunctive follows. All right, theory time is over. You've seen the concept, you've got the formula, and you've got a list of triggers. Now it's time to actually put it into practice so it really sticks. Let's try a few together. Okay, take a look at this one. Me molesta que tú no, and the verb is reciclar. So what's our first step? We've got to spot the trigger. Do you see an emotion here? Yes, me molesta. So what form of reciclar do you think we need? You got it. The trigger me molesta que forces us to use the subjunctive. And for tú and the verb reciclar, that form is recicles. Me molesta que no recicles la basura. Fantastic. Let's do another one. Es una pena que ellos no, and a verb is venir. So what's the trigger? Es una pena que, it's a shame that. That's a clear feeling of regret, right? So what happens to our verb venir? Yep, you're on a roll. The subjunctive for ellos is vengan. Es una pena que ellos no vengan a la fiesta. Are you seeing the pattern? Trigger, que, subjunctive. It works every single time. Okay, one last one to lock it in. Estoy encantado de que vosotros, and the verb is viajar. We've got a really strong trigger for joy here. Estoy encantado de qué. So how would you conjugate viajar for vosotros in the subjunctive? Perfect. The answer is viajéis. Estoy encantado de que viajéis con nosotros. You're really getting the hang of this, you see? It's all about recognizing those emotional cues. We've covered a lot today, but if you only walk away with one single idea, I really want it to be this one. This is the simple thought that should guide you in any conversation. This is it. This is the golden rule. Always ask yourself, am I just stating the fact or am I feeling the fact? If you're just reporting information, use the indicative. But if you're reacting to it, expressing how you feel about it, you need the subjunctive. Master that one distinction, and you've mastered one of the most expressive and powerful parts of the Spanish language.